And now, ladies and gentlemen, to make a few comments and to introduce her husband and our Attorney General, Ken Paxton, I welcome to the stage our great and fearless state senator, Angela Paxton.
Have a seat. Mark, you sound like someone. I can't put my finger on it. You've all heard of body doubles, right? He's a voice double for his brother, but thank you so much. And you know what? I could stop right now and just say what he said. But you know I'm not. I have a few other things to say. Number one, I am so proud to be here to support these great, fantastic, true conservative candidates. And I heard this was a real Republican event, so I wore my red. You know, I wanted to just say a little bit about a boots on the ground reason, or actually heels on the ground reason why we need new House members representing Collin County. So as you know, one of my primary focuses as I have been your senator has been fighting for your rights as parents. This last session, among many things that we passed in the Texas Senate, one of them was a constitutional amendment, SJR 29, that I carried, that was a parental bill of rights. Now, it wasn't Senate Bill 29, it was SJR 29, Senate Joint Resolution. That's because it was intended to be an amendment to the Constitution. We would pass it, the House would pass it, and then we'd go to you, the voters. And then you would decide if this became a permanent part of the Constitution in our Bill of Rights. Now, this was a very controversial bill, this parental Bill of Rights. Everything in it is already in law. Everything in it, everything enumerated, things like, as a parent, you have a right to review your students' records or the library books that they check out. Things like every parent has the right to choose public education or an alternative, private or charter or homeschool. Really controversial things like that. So controversial that they're already actually part of the law, okay? So you may ask the question, well, if it's already the law in the education code, why would we need a constitutional amendment for the same things that are already law? And the reason is, once something is part of our Bill of Rights, part of our Constitution, it doesn't take a 51% vote to remove it, which is true of any law, right? 51% moves it this way or this way. If it's a constitutional amendment, it takes a 2/3 vote to remove it. So this bill was intended to ensure that it would be more difficult for any future legislature. And we don't know what any future legislature composition might be, right? So we wanted to make the parental rights as strongly guaranteed as possible. So we passed this in the Texas Senate. I passed it with every Republican, and I was able to find 2 Democrats who finally said, I just can't find anything wrong with this. I'm like, yeah, it's already the law, right? So we passed it, and we had to pass it with 2/3. It went over to the House, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat. And when we finished the session, it had never received a committee hearing. Now, why is that? It is because it was not a priority to the Speaker. So you understand, in the Texas Senate, if you don't see your big picture priorities happening, that's on you. Because you directly elect the president of the Senate, who currently is Dan Patrick. So that's on you. But if the Texas House of Representatives is not passing your big picture priorities, you don't get to directly elect the Speaker of the House, who presides over that body. Your elected representative votes for that person. And this is why I'm telling you, I need some new members who are not going to vote for that speaker who does not support our priorities, and they're sitting on this front row. Well, we are at game time. We've got just a few days left in early voting. This is the time when everyone loses their religion, in case you haven't noticed. And I remember in an election way in the past, back before I had my own PTSD about my own elections and everything. I just had Ken PTSD elections. But we were at kind of this point in time in one of his races. And it was getting nasty out there. The lies were flying. The made-up things were everywhere. And I remember telling Ken, I said, you know, when you walk in on a Saturday afternoon, you turn on the TV, and there's a basketball game on. And you don't have a lot of time to process exactly who it is and everything, but you see the clock, and it's like the last 2 minutes of the game, right? And you don't know who's playing who, you don't know the score, but you look, and you see one team foul the other team. And the one thing you know, without knowing anything else, is the team that's fouling, that's the team that's losing. So when you look around and you start seeing these kinds of antics, Keresa, I was so thankful that you told me you weren't terminally ill like we were hearing out there, you know. I mean, it's crazy what people make up. So you should just know, note to self, that's the team that perceives themselves as being behind and they're desperate. And this is why we are all here tonight.